Back in full flight, that's at 8, followed by Crime World. Right now, it was one of the turning points of the Second World War, Pearl Harbor.
We're all going on a summer holiday.
We'll not let you go.
Let me go.
We'll not let you go.
Let me go.
We'll not let you go.
Let me go.
'Cause I'm just a teenage dirtbag baby, listening to Iron Maiden, baby.
And it's high for me and you.
With Auto Trader, you'll find your perfect partner.
Yeah, well, we all like a bag of crisps, but which flavours? The daddy.
Beef flavoured. Are you mad?
Prawn cocktail. Whew.
Worcester sauce flavour? Well, it's all right in a Bloody Mary, but not in a bleeding packet of crisps.
Well, the daddy of all crisps is really salted. Want one? Ah! I love them like a brother. So is the daddy of bottled beers? Well, that's easy, isn't it? It's got to be the original Alston Pills. Evening, George. Job done.
Alston Pills. It's the daddy.
The new Braun Synchro is our first shaver whose head moves from side to side, so it captures more hair and cuts closer. And to keep it feeling like a new shave every day, here's how to clean it.
Maureen here is eating Benecol yogurts because you wanted to reduce your cholesterol.
Yes, I had already changed to a healthier diet. Then I came across Benecol yogurts, which are proven to reduce cholesterol. And I couldn't believe it. I just thought, wow, I do lead a reasonably healthy lifestyle, but I wanted to do more. Benecol yogurts are delicious, and it's hard to believe that they're reducing my cholesterol at the same time.
So you're pleased with Benecol?
I feel great. It's brought my cholesterol down, and I'm delighted.
Benecol yogurts, proven to reduce cholesterol.
Now you can try AOL for absolutely nothing. Just call 0800 376 4444 for your completely free trial pack.
New Benadryl Plus, the only non-drowsy hay fever treatment with added decongestant.
That's the one.
Flowers.
Don't let them get away with it.
Every day, thousands of people like you suffer some form of personal injury where they weren't to blame and so could be entitled to cash compensation. You might be out and about, at work, or in your car. The Accident Group specializes in personal injury compensation claims. It starts with one free phone call, and you could receive thousands of pounds in a lump sum cash payment. Call the Accident Group now. 0800 195 5151. Where there's blame, there's a claim.
Bounty. Experience the exotic.
The day seems so much brighter. Now the clouds have gone away. Let me tell you, your smile is so much.
Web now for your knighted little shimmy there. On the M62.
Like a freight train, jet plane, there's one thing I can't explain. Well, I'm an east.
New Supradin Recharge. A fizzing formulation of vitamins and minerals. Supradin Recharge.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in.
We will never ever buy fish unless it achieves at least 8 out of 10 on the Torrey Institute scale of freshness and quality. Waitrose, quality food, honestly priced.
Tefal Express Steam Generator. Tefal brings out your best.
Can you book with Sea France and get some of the lowest fares from Dover to Calais? Yes, you can. Book now on 08705 711 711 or visit seafrance.com and save £5. See the difference with Sea France.
Priceline lets you name your own price for airline tickets. Unfortunately, in America, a few people who paid less assumed they got less. Once their offers were accepted, they became irrational. On the world's leading airlines, this sort of behaviour is not very British. If you can cope with great deals on flights, hotels and car hire, call 0800 074 5000 or visit priceline.co.uk and name your own price.
Laura, what do you think of this?
I'm starving.
You're always
I'm going to have to go
starving.
downstairs and get something to eat.
Have you tried these, Snacker Jacks?
Salt and vinegar flavour?
Yeah, try one.
They are gorgeous. And less than 10% fat. You can't just have one, though, can you?
Get your own. You'd love the caramel ones.
You keep these in your desk?
Yeah. You stay away from my desk.
Snacker Jacks. Some things are too good to keep to yourself.
Tom Green here at Muscle Beach. We're going to show how new Right Guard Extreme Sport works even under the most extreme conditions. Oh no, the kitty's going to get you! The extreme protection against odor and wetness. Smells good.
New Right Guard Extreme Sport. Get extreme, get Right Guard.
Relax with the unbeatable protection of Garnier Ombre Solaire with our best ever Mexeril filter. Garnier Ombre Solaire, no one makes the sun safer.
The first wave of the Japanese attack caused immediate confusion, but the second wave created total chaos. Americans fired at anything in the sky. Tragically, some of the planes shot down were the unarmed United States B-17s from the mainland and the planes sent by the US carriers.
We had deaths, a lot of deaths. Went way beyond our normal capacity.
Time they attacked from 7:55, I probably stayed there maybe hour and 15 minutes. Then I got in the car and drove back to Waikiki Beach. And things was in such chaos that the sentries would stick a rifle in your window, wondering where you're going. And it was such a chaos.
9:05 a.m. Radios around the island issued urgent warnings for citizens to get off the roads and stay at home. But not everyone heard the call.
Dad ran out the front door, screen door slamming behind him, me down the steps, and we ran down to the front of the house, looked up, and plane after plane going over. There was strafing up and down the street, and the bullets that found our house were incendiary bullets.
The Japanese attack destroyed Dorinda's childhood home.
My dad knew that we needed to get away, so we headed out away from the harbor. We drove along the edge of the harbor and along the side that would be where the Oklahoma had turned on its side, and could literally look right at Battleship Row.
In the harbour, rescuers disregarded the second wave of attack and started to work on the capsized Oklahoma. Their plan was to cut through the 2-foot-thick solid steel hull.
We turned back around thinking that maybe we should try to get back to our house when the military police stopped us and wouldn't let anybody get back. And so we went and hid up in the sugarcane fields. We thought we would probably need to hide up in there in case there would be an invasion. We were perched up above the harbor in the hills, and so you could see the smoke and the flames and hear the explosions. We had absolutely no information, and we didn't know what to do.
The Japanese plan worked to perfection. Every attack exceeded their expectations. Military installations across the entire island of Oahu were in flames. Civilians were running for their lives. American military personnel could only react. There was no organized plan of action and no time to think.
There was a lot of confusion. The emergency rooms were filled to capacity. Everybody worked to their best ability, I'm sure. Lots of burns, a lot of severe burn cases. I remember trying to insert an intravenous needle in the arm of one of my patients, and as I wiped the alcohol sponge down over his vein area, the entire layer of skin came right off in one big piece. He was so badly burned. A lot of the patients were out on the lanais in beds, just bunks that were set up for them.
10 a.m. The first wave of Japanese aircraft returned to their carriers, now just 190 miles off the coast of Oahu. Only 29 planes were lost, a stunning victory.
Everyone felt that they definitely would be coming back because our defenses were so completely down.
11:46 a.m. Reports come in that Japanese troops were landing on the island of Oahu.
We'd been speculating during the day, will they come in with parachute troops and take over? It looks like they very well could, because we had several fuel oil storage tanks for the ships. So that looked like they had intentions on coming back.
We lived in fear of an invasion. We were told over and over and over that the Japanese were coming back.
The Japanese army was known for its ruthless cruelty in occupied nations. Hawaii's population was now living in fear of a Japanese invasion. Just 4 hours into the attack, the island was on fire. The skies were filled with suffocating black smoke. Communication was cut off from the mainland with absolutely no hope of help. The people of Hawaii were certain that there would be a Japanese invasion. The only question was when. As the destruction of the Pearl Harbor attack struck home, young sailors like Leon Kolb were seized with the desire to fight back.
Everyone wanted revenge. Figured if we could get over to Ford Island, that's where all the planes were, what planes were in. We might have a chance to salvage some machine guns and shoot back if this thing keeps going on. Finally getting onto Ford Island, there was no guns left. It strafed and bombed and set afire the patrol planes. It was still down, and the carrier planes hadn't got in yet. That probably saved some more of us from getting killed.
12:10 p.m. At last, the Americans managed to get a few planes airborne and fly north in search of the Japanese aircraft carriers. Meanwhile, the island was reeling in shock.
We never dreamed that they'd hit our strongest base where the most of our fleet was. I don't think that the officers in charge ever thought that the Japanese would take a chance with their fleet to come in that close.
Following the attack, the people of Oahu waited and worried. The American military had been immobilized. There was no chance of defending Hawaii against a full-scale invasion. An invasion seemed inevitable.
We were advised later in the day that the Japanese were landing at Pearl Harbor with ground troops.
Fear of an enemy invasion gave way to paranoia. 12:30 p.m. Honolulu police raided the Japanese embassy. Animosity turned towards the Japanese living on the island. Don Seiki experienced it firsthand.
Saturday night, December 6th, we were playing poker all night long. And nobody got ahead, so we want to quit. So we started shooting crap. I live in a valley called Manoa Valley. Now and then we see target practice. They're pulling target in the airplane. We thought it was, target practice. After the bombing, here comes a guy. He says, you bombed Pearl Harbor. So he pulled a knife on us. So we scrambled and went home. Then we listened to the radio. Then we found out it was bombed.
Government agents went into action, seizing radios from Japanese, fearing they would broadcast messages and information to their native land. At 1 p.m., the Japanese Air Commander Fushida landed safely on board the aircraft carrier Akagi. With the amazing success of the first 2 waves, he was ready to launch the third.
We knew there were planes, but we didn't realize that they didn't bring ground forces. And had they anticipated the success their Air Force had, they would have followed up with ground forces because Hawaii was vulnerable.
Hawaii was more than vulnerable, it was in utter chaos. On board the Japanese aircraft carrier, Commander Fushida pushed hard for the launch of the third wave. But at 1:30 p.m., Admiral Nagumo decided to call off the attack and the Japanese fleet withdrew.
One torpedo could have knocked the dry dock out and withheld repairing a lot of the battleships that was damaged. If they had torpedoed the dry dock gate, that would have been more damage almost than what they did to the battleships.
Apparently, the Admiral had called off the third wave because he was unsure of the location of the American aircraft carriers. The Japanese had scored a tremendous victory with the first 2 attacks. There was no need to risk defeat with a third. At 4:25 that afternoon, the Hawaiian governor proclaimed martial law. The military now controlled the island. For Japanese Americans, it was suddenly dangerous to be identified with the country of their birth.
We were very much under surveillance. And some people, they threw all their photographs and literature and stuff, and they burned it, and so because of, in case the FBI, it was a chaos because blackout, the MPs were real severe. If they see a little light, boom, boom, start shooting.
Paranoia engulfed the island. No one knew that the enemy fleet was already heading back to Japan. Everyone was still poised for the invasion they were sure was coming.
When I was sleeping on the floor of a barracks on Fort Island, all the guns that could still fire opened up in the harbor. So most of us thought, like me, I guess, but here they come. It turned out that was a couple of the airplanes from the carrier that was supposed to be in that they'd sent in to see what's going on. The poor guys got shot down. They made me feel pretty bad.
A total of 7 American planes were shot down by friendly fire. Homes and private property were destroyed by US anti-aircraft shells. America was now at war. A war she was ill-prepared to fight. Stephen Weiner was one of the first to come face-to-face with the enemy.
About 10 o'clock at night, we're sitting talking and we see 2 figures approaching us from the shoreline. One was a National Guard corporal, and he was leading an Oriental. And the Oriental was nude with the exception of a loincloth. And so he turned him over to us. So we took him to the operation shack. He had been in the water for many hours. His skin was all wrinkled. And we put a blanket around him. And we gave him a hard-boiled egg and a shot of booze. And then we started to interrogate him, holding the .45 at his temple.
Through the night, Second Lieutenant Steve Weiner interrogated the first Japanese prisoner of war. Information about the impending invasion would have to be forced out of him if Hawaii was going to prepare for the onslaught to come.
He was a defiant little guy. We didn't seem to have him buffaloed at all. I would say after maybe 2 hours. He said, paper, pencil. So we gave him a manila envelope that was on the desk and a pencil. And he wrote, I am Japanese naval officer. He wrote this in English. My ship catch in coral. I jump into water, swim to this airplane land. Kill me in honorable way. No tell about ships. And he signed his name. Now, we kept him, I think, until about 5 or 6 in the morning, where G2 from Fort Shafter sent over for him. We gave him the document that he had signed and turned the supposed prisoner over to them.
Then, on the morning of the 8th of December, Lieutenant Weiner made an unusual discovery.
We saw a coning tower sticking out on the surf. It was only about a half a mile out, not even that far. We rigged up a tow, we got a Jeep, and we pulled the sub in. There were 5 midget subs involved in a special operation, and they each had an objective. Sakamaki was to sink the Pennsylvania. His failure was because his steering gear fouled when he was released, and he drifted down past Honolulu, past Waikiki, around Diamond Head toward Bellows Field, where he became ensnared in coral. He and his enlisted men attempted to swim in at night, and the body of his enlisted men washed in the next morning.
11 a.m., Monday the 8th of December. Wreckage littered runways on airstrips around the island. Pearl Harbor was smoldering. While casualties mounted from the attack, rescue workers continued fighting to save the 461 men still trapped inside the overturned hull of the Oklahoma.
I could still see the bottom of my ship that was left up out